Sando-iche, a story written by Isabela Monteiro, illustrations by Sabrina Abreu. From inside the pantry in a room at the back of the house, a creaking groan could be heard. Sando-iche, Sando-iche. The voice was profoundly deep, and it echoed all around, but only the young boy Carlos could hear it. His mother couldn't hear the terrifying groan, and every day she would ask the boy to go get something from the pantry. Carlos, can you bring me a can of oil? Just the idea of going into the pantry would make Carlos shiver. By pretending that the towel was his cape, the boy felt brave enough to face the monster Sando-iche. "I'm not Carlos, I'm Super Carlos," he exclaimed. And off he would go to accomplish his mission. He'd open the door very carefully, but it would always creak menacingly. Creak. Deep down, Carlos knew that his cape would protect him. It was easy to imagine. There was nothing to fear. He just needed to get that one item so that his mom could finish cooking. But when he least expected it, a terrible rumble erupted as loud as a snore. Sando-iche. As quickly as he could, the boy made his way back to the kitchen completely out of breath. Triumphantly, he brought the can of oil in one of his hands and his racing heart in the other. Ba-bum, ba-bum, ba-bum. Every afternoon, Super Carlos liked to draw with his coloured pencils and paper. He let his imagination wander, and so Sando-iche would always take a different form in the boy's head. While his mom was knitting, the boy would create plans for defeating his nightmare, but none of them ever worked. He was always frightened as soon as he heard that rumble. Sando-iche. But Super Carlos never gave up. Every day, he would bravely run to the pantry to face another battle. One late afternoon, as it usually happened, his mother asked the boy to get a can of peas. Super Carlos warily entered the pantry, looking one way, then looking the other. What did I come in here for? He asked. The clock was ticking, and Carlos knew that at any moment Sando-iche would wake up. He squeezed his eyes shut, hoping that in doing so he would remember what his mother had asked him to grab. From the kitchen he could smell that his mom was preparing something delicious for dinner. With his eyes still closed, he put his hands on his stomach, realizing that he would very much enjoy that pea soup. Suddenly, a strange tremor started to bubble up in his belly button, and he felt a long grumble echoing. Sando-iche. Startled, his eyes shot open wide, and then he burst out laughing. The monster was just his stomach growling in hunger. Ever since that day, the boy Carlos wore his cape wherever he went. He knew that he would never fear any monster again. All he needed was a bowl of soup. And from that day on, Carlos would proudly reply when anyone would call his name. "My name's not Carlos, it's Super Carlos!" This story is based on a real story of a boy who imagined a monster called Sando-iche. That boy is my father. I write it in honour of him and my mother, who always told me so many stories and fed a world full of curiosity and adventure in me.
It's Super Carlos.